Dis After Dark Podcast is sponsored by Unofficial.com, the home of Halloween Horror Nights news and rumors all year round. Find us on the web at www.hhnunofficial.com. So stop the fog machines and clear the cobwebs. It's time for another episode of the podcast that's nearly the same as all the others.
Wendy Presser at Magical Journeys Travel is proud to be a sponsor of the After Dark Podcast Network. Whether you've been to Disney 1 or 100 times, there's still lots of planning involved. Let Wendy be the one on at midnight when your window opens to get that Be Our Guest reservation or that covers with Anna and Elsa fast pass for your own princess. Mention that you heard this ad on one of our podcasts and get $25 off your deposit with any trip package. Be sure to ask about her generous onboard credits for Disney Cruise Lines as well. Find her on Twitter at WP Magic Journeys or WPMagicJourneys.com.
Hello and welcome to this unplanned edition of Dis After Dark Strike. Because I don't know where this is going to end up, effectively. So, I'm Nick, as you can hear, and I am joined by the man himself, PODCASTERS Washington.
Hello.
Now, this wasn't planned because I wasn't expecting to go and see the film that we're talking about. It's alright because the music to this beginning of the show will give away what film we're talking about. Because in post-production there'll be some Spider-Man music added to this. That and the show title will also say Spider-Man Homecoming. But anyway, I digress. So, you were planning to see this opening day anyway, weren't you? You'd already bought your tickets and everything. Yeah,
it just worked out that I could do tonight. So, I don't always go opening night with the Marvel films. Most of the time I'll try and see it within the first week, but it just worked out that tonight I could get there. It's, my little boy normally goes to his grandparents on a Wednesday evening,
right,
or Wednesday afternoon, so he's normally a bit later getting home anyway. So the wife goes and picks him up. So I had a few spare hours this evening.
See, but yeah, because was it a PG or was it was 12, wasn't it?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think. Personally, I'm not sure if it needed to be a 12 compared to some of the Marvel films, but we'll get to that a bit later on. But yeah, I mean, I am like you. I don't normally go and see Marvel films straight away. My friend saw it this morning, first showing he could find this morning. He was alarmed because there was no midnight showings anywhere. And
it's opened on a weird day as well.
Well, and maybe that's why it's not had the late night openings that the other films have had, because we've got it 2 days before America. Now, we usually get Marvel films quite a bit earlier, but I think because this is a Sony film, that's why. I'm not sure, because I've been doing this recently, although the release is on Friday, I don't know if they're doing previews yet, because like recently I've noticed they've done previews Wednesday and Thursday before Friday. But,
I'm not sure either.
No, but I mean, officially it came out in the UK today, and officially it comes out in America on the 7th of July. So we're a few days early. So we thought we'd get straight into it before most of you had seen it. This could backfire
Yeah.
I don't think there's
You
any
have
point.
to be.
I don't think you need to. You can have this kind of show without being quite spoilery.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen Spider-Man: Homecoming yet, you might want to turn off before we start really getting into it. But if you have, obviously, jump on board. Now, we've literally gone into the record on this. We've not had any pre-talk or anything. So I don't know how you felt about the film, and you don't know how I felt about the film, because neither of us actually said anything in the group chat. We just said, we're going to go and talk about it. So this could be a very interesting show, or it could be very vanilla. It depends on how we both felt about the film.
Yeah.
But I will ask you first of all, your initial statement on Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Enjoyed it immensely.
Okay, that's quite strong.
Quite
strong. I'm almost going to say it's been my favourite Marvel superhero film of this year. Now, I say that because I decided on the way home I'm going to stop referring to Guardians of the Galaxy as a superhero film, because I can't. It's just too different to Marvel films. I mean, okay, there's a couple of arguably superpowers within Star-Lord, I suppose, but no one else really has anything that gives them a superpower.
No.
Super strength, is that really... is that really a superpower nowadays? You need something a bit more than that. So
you got to say that the two that you would say would have superpowers if they were on Earth would be Groot and Drax.
Yeah,
but they're aliens.
Yeah. So... I think it's far too much of us. I mean, and that's not a slight. I adore the Guardians films, both of them, but I think it's pretty wrong to categorise them in the same category.
Yeah.
Talking about a Spider-Man or a Logan or a Wonder Woman or whatever superhero films you want to kind of put it against.
Yeah, totally agree.
But yeah, so I really enjoyed it. So let's start about our journeys, because I decided very late on today that I was going to go and see Spider-Man today. As in... Oh, by the way, what are we drinking?
Just some mango and orange juice, I think.
Oh, that's very good. I'm just drinking water. So, a nice, big, really cold glass of water. That with a straw, because it's so cold I don't know how my teeth. Yeah, Craig will have a field day with that one. So, I decided at 5:25 this evening I was going to go and see Spider-Man.
I just sat down in my seat at that point.
Well, the reason why I have to be that precise, that's when I decided I was going to go and see Spider-Man, is because Spider-Man started at 5:30. And I live a good 25-minute-ish walk from the cinema. Yeah. So I literally booked my ticket and left the house. And power walked. I texted my mate on the way to say, because he'd already seen it this morning, and we go to the same cinema chain because we've got the same cinema pass. And I said, I've just booked my tickets. It starts in 5 minutes. I'm just leaving the house now. And he said, my showing this morning had half an hour's worth of adverts and trailers, so you should be fine.
Yeah, so did mine. I sat down. I was 5 minutes late after the screening started, and I thought, that's not a problem. I know there's going to be adverts. And this wasn't even in a major chain. This was in a local little cinema.
Right.
The screening started at 10 to 6 when the time actually said that it was 5:20 that the screening started.
Yeah. I mean, I got... So my screenings had started at 5:30, and I got into the cinema at 5:59, and I must have just missed the beginning of the film. Because where it started for me, and gloriously as well, was a massive Tyne Daly from Cagney and Lacey.
Yes.
Who I always had a little bit of a thing for. As a child, as a weird crush for some reason.
It was one of those shows that you kind of used to watch where you probably shouldn't have been watching.
Well, you watched it because your parents were watching it. You had no interest in watching it at all. And I certainly didn't. I mean, I couldn't tell you the storyline of one episode of Cagney and Lacey because I imagine somebody got murdered or something. That's it. That's all I can tell you. But I know the theme tune. I know Tyne Daly and Sharon Glass. So it stuck. But as a 4-year-old, completely over my head. So that was a good way to start the film. So as you were there when the film officially started, how much did I miss?
You literally missed maybe a minute.
Yeah.
Tops.
Yeah. I guess that purely because, a little bit after that is when you see Peter Parker for the first time, or you hear him for the first time. You don't see him straight away. So I guess I hadn't missed that much. That was good. That was pretty good timing. I mean, I had a sweat on. Don't get me wrong. It was bloody hot out there today, but it was worthwhile. Obviously, I made it. So the film starts off in the past, doesn't it? 8 years in the past.
Literally just at the end of the first Avengers movie.
Is that what it is? I guessed it must have been. Yeah,
it's just after the Battle of New York.
Yeah, okay. And you're introduced to Ty Daly, who's not really in it for any amount of time. She just plays a bit of a nothing character, to be completely honest.
Pops back up later on, doesn't she?
Yeah, but I mean, it's such a small role.
Yeah,
so you kind of learn a little bit about Frederick Toombs, isn't it? That's his name.
Adrian
Toombs. Sorry.
Yeah.
And
they don't really say it. They only say it maybe once.
That's why I thought his name was Freddy, because that's what it sounded like to me. But that's where you kind of are introduced to him, and you are then given an idea of why he kind of goes down the path that he does.
Yeah, they introduce that story fairly early on, don't they?
Which I think is good, actually.
Yeah, it sets out the stall for the whole film.
Mm. So do you want to fill that in a little bit?
Yeah, well, basically, he has got a contract with the New York Council, I would imagine, the city government, to kind of clear damages up. But in this case, obviously, after the alien attack, it's something very different. And technically, Tony Stark has taken over, clearing all the mess that he's already caused.
Yeah, it seems a little bit of a backhander type of arrangement. But I don't really delve into it that much, but that's the kind of assumption that's made, is that, Stark is kind of using his business acumen to actually kind of set up an organisation to clear up the messes that the Avengers cause, and in doing so he's paid by the council or government or whatever that's in charge of that. So they're basically playing Stark Enterprise, or a subsidiary of, to do their dirty work, essentially.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. So you get that backstory, and what you learn at that point as well is that, and obviously what you know from watching the Avengers, is that there's obviously a lot of alien tech that's left around after the battle, and it's having access to that kind of technology, which then leads him and I believe they were all disgruntled workers. I don't think they were anyone else. There was like a gang of people. That's what they were there for, really. But that leads them to kind of experiment with this technology and try and turn it into something else.
Yeah.
And that pretty much sets out the beginning. And then for those that have seen the second, maybe third trailer, actually, thinking about it, I lost count how many trailers there were for this film.
I think it was in the end.
Yeah. What you kind of see a bit more of the video diaries that Peter Parker was talking about in those trailers.
Which they actually released. They released all of those last week.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah.
I knew that. I did see someone that had released like the first few minutes worth of the film, as they do sometimes. But I didn't seek it out, so I wasn't too sure. But that makes sense. And I think it's very well done, because you're obviously seeing it from his camera, but you're seeing another angle of, or at least some of, the big fight scene from Civil War.
Yeah.
Which is where he's first introduced into the Marvel comic universe. Because let's be honest, this is now the 6th Spider-Man film in 15 years. But this is the first Spider-Man film that's considered canon into the Marvel comic universe, or cinematic universe, sorry.
This was a Marvel Studios production, but paid for by Sony.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it down to a T.
Yeah.
So you then kind of see that, you see his awkward kind of cuddle with Tony Stark when he drops him off, which is very good. You also saw him get in the suit for the first time.
Yeah, and the reintroduction of Happy Hogan.
Yes, yeah. And I think quite misleadingly, although if this has been putting you on the fence about watching Spider-Man Homecoming, I'd say Happy Hogan is probably a more prominent character than Tony Stark.
Yeah, for all the people that were worried it was going to be Iron Man 4, it's possibly Happy Hogan's first solo movie.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's good because, I've always liked Jon Favreau anyway, and I always thought it was a little bit weird that he cast himself in Iron Man, but it was in a fairly small role, which hasn't really been that expanded on. But yeah, I'd say it was almost... You could almost say it was a kind of Agent Coulson kind of role.
I think that's where they're going with it.
Yeah, which is good because the thing is, he's too good an actor to not be doing anything.
Yeah,
or not. He could be doing more, and he's not been in those films. So it was quite good that he did have that. But yes, so for anyone that was worried about the Downey Jr. situation, as Paul said, that you don't. He's probably in it for about 5 minutes.
Yeah,
I'd say combined.
Yeah, maximum.
He's in scenes for a short amount of time, and not many of them.
And half of them weren't even on set with anybody else.
No, that's very true. Actually, I forgot about that bit. Yeah, so so it's good. I mean, it's probably the opposite of what I was talking about with Pirates of the Caribbean and Johnny Depp in there. Although that was still his film, like you kind of wished that it wasn't. And with this, you did wonder if the onus was a lot on him, and thankfully it's not. The main focus is on Peter Parker. Now, I think at this stage we have to now start talking about Tom Holland, because obviously he was introduced in Civil War, and for many people, I include myself in that, he stole Civil War.
Yes.
I liked Civil War, and I think it was a massive improvement over Avengers: Age of Ultron. And I know it's a Captain America film technically, but Civil War didn't seem to be, for me at least, a Captain America film.
No, it had that underlying story of Cap and Bucky, but the bigger arc was Stark and Rogers,
and the
which makes an Avengers movie.
And the fact that everyone was in it. It's not even like they were in it for like a few minutes. Everyone was in it pretty much the whole way through. So you can call it whatever you like, but it's essentially an Avengers movie. But yeah, he was a great addition. I think even when you kind of saw him pop up in the trailer, no one was that kind of... I don't think anyone was too sure how he was going to be, because we had Tobey Maguire, and actually, look, we'll talk about this now. Actually, so in terms of Spider-Men, I suppose we have to refer to them as I liked the first two Spider-Man films, and I pretty hated Spider-Man 3, if I'm honest. I just really didn't like it very much at all.
It was overblown guff, was what it was.
Yeah. There was obviously, reported a lot of problems at the time. They shoehorned Venom into it against Sam Raimi's wishes, and you could
definitely feel that he didn't want him in that film.
Yeah.
Because it was just a very poor version of Venom. But I just think the villains weren't very good. I didn't think the story was very good. I think there was too many fingers in that pie for that one. But my problem with Tobey Maguire in the first Spider-Man film is even in that film, he looked in his late 20s. And I think he was probably about 25.
I always thought he was a good Peter. I had problems when he put the suit on that I didn't think he was overly convincing. Yet, for Andrew Garfield, I'm the other way round. I thought he was dreadful as Peter, but thought he actually pulled off the Spider-Man side of things pretty well.
Because I'm not sure how much of the kind of Spider-Man suit stuff he did. I'm not convinced he did very much.
No, I just mean as the character in that term. So I think he kind of portrayed for Toby. I think he portrayed Peter better than he did the superhero side of things. Whereas Andrew Garfield, I felt he had the Spider-Man sense of humour as such.
Yes,
the comics.
So I see what you mean. Yeah, there definitely seemed to be a lack. I mean, it's not that there was any kind of quips in the original Spider-Man trilogy, but it didn't feel natural. It felt almost put in because that's what Spider-Man does, but it didn't feel right. I think Andrew Garfield looked more like Peter Parker than Tobey Maguire did.
Yeah.
I always felt he was a bit square. I know Peter Parker's not supposed to be the coolest kid, but he just didn't... to me, just lacked a bit of charisma, to be honest.
Yeah.
Just didn't, there was something that didn't feel right, and I think your level of, your appreciation of Spider-Man depends on how you've accessed it before.
Yeah.
And for me, although I'd read some comics when I was younger, I loved the Spider-Man cartoon.
Yeah.
So that was always in my kind of head. When I saw a live-action Spider-Man, I wanted it to kind of be a bit like the cartoon. I didn't think the Peter Parker in that was the same as the cartoon. It didn't, and the Spider-Man definitely didn't feel like the Spider-Man you'd read in the comics, and he wouldn't be as quick-witted and, as kind of zesty or whatever. I've still only seen The Amazing Spider-Man. I haven't seen The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
I watched the second one on a plane.
Always the best way to see a film.
And I can't even remember where I was going. It might have been LA.
Right.
And didn't enjoy it and haven't even bothered to buy it or watch it again.
Well, I only bought The Amazing Spider-Man because it was like £3 in FOP on 3D Blu-ray. And I was like, well, £3 for a 3D film. And I thought it was alright, but I wasn't that taken with it, and I don't put it down just to Andrew Garfield. I just don't think the scripts were good enough.
No,
characters.
I think at that point Sony were just so desperate to get more stuff out there, so they didn't lose the rights.
That was it. That is purely what happened, and that's why they went. I mean, why they had to go for another reboot. When did The Amazing Spider-Man come out? Was it 2011, 2012?
I would imagine it was 20. It's got to be 2011, unless I watched. Oh, it might have been The Amazing Spider-Man 2 was out in 2014.
Yes, I think that's about right. Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been. So yeah, that's about right.
Okay. So that was only 10 years or so after the first Spider-Man came out.
Yeah.
And you're already rebooting the franchise. It just didn't. I just didn't enjoy it, and I know people didn't like Kirsten Dunst, but I wasn't completely convinced with Emma Stone, to be honest.
No, I wasn't, and I think the problem you put there is Spider-Man will always be known for being with MJ. If you're not if you're not a geek or even a moderate fan of that genre, then MJ is the one that everybody knows.
Yeah. I mean, Gwen Stacy's obviously the tragic story, and it was Spider-Man's first love, but if you were probably born in the 80s,
late 70s, early 80s, then yeah, you may have heard of Gwen Stacy, but you would be always associating Peter Parker being with MJ. So I kind of got what they did, but I just didn't think it set that well. But I think Tom Holland nailed both parts.
Yeah, that's exactly my thought.
He was the complete perfect Peter Parker. I mean, I think he's about 20.
Yeah,
21. He's fairly young, but Peter Parker in this film's 15, and he passed as 15 in my opinion.
Yeah.
He looked that kind of age, and in fact, I think all the kids did. I don't know how old they all were, but it didn't suffer from like the Beverly Hills 90210 syndrome or the Saved by the Bell, where they're clearly people in their mid-20s playing 17-year-olds.
Yeah.
You know, they actually looked like they were the age they were supposed to be, which is important. I think the casting is very important. But he just had the perfect kind of accent for Peter Parker, the mannerisms, the attitude when he was wearing the mask. I mean, although I'd seen in the trailer the bit when he was, and the first kind of real bit of crime solving that he tries to do is the attack on the banks when they're trying to break into the ATMs. And the quips there about the Avengers.
Yeah. But when you see that scene as a whole, it's even better.
It was quite clearly trailers, but
really awkward and doesn't know how to approach it. Like he is a brand new superhero that really doesn't know how to cope with it.
Do you know one of my favourite bits was when he tried to launch a web, realised there was nothing for it to stick to, and had to run across that green space.
There's some great insider jokes within the film as well, and I think the biggest one is probably, we'll talk about it at the end.
Okay, yeah, I'm happy with that. So it was little touches like that, as you say. What I thought what was great about this, it was not an origin story.
No,
and to be honest, it couldn't. Even if they wanted to, it couldn't have been an origin story because we'd seen him in Civil War.
Yeah,
and this was after Civil War, so there was no time to go back and do a origin story. And it's been told so many times in so many different mediums and in 2 fucking film franchises that you didn't want to see it again.
Yeah, and Marvel did the same with the Hulk, didn't they, when they brought him back when Ruffalo was cast?
I like that. What I liked about the was it the, I think it was the Incredible Hulk, when the whole opening to the film was the origin story.
Yeah.
But like laid over the titles.
Yeah.
So you just saw like little bits, but you could piece the whole thing together if you didn't know what the origin story was. I thought that was a very good way of doing it and set up the stall. But with this, you just didn't need it. It was straight in. In fact, they never even, unfortunately for me, uttered Uncle Ben.
No. There's a slight nod to him, but they don't actually go into detail about it.
Not at all. Don't even mention him by name. You know who they're talking about.
Yeah.
But he's not mentioned by name, and I really like that. But I remember today when I saw Spider-Man 2. The only other Spider-Man film I saw on opening night actually was Spider-Man 2. And there's a bit, and I've not seen it for a long time. There was a bit when Peter Parker said something about his Uncle Ben, and it was all very quiet in the cinema. And when he mentioned Uncle Ben, I just shouted out, "I love your rice!" And I didn't get shut down. I got a few laughs. I was sad not to be able to repeat that today. Because that's the Uncle Ben that I'll always remember. But no, I love the fact that this was not an origin story, but as you said, he was finding his feet and he was doing stuff wrong all the way through.
Yeah,
in a little bit of a slapstick fashion, but that makes it sound worse than it is. When you watch it in context, it's not that bad at all. But it was somebody still trying to work out how to do things.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like trying to watch a duck learn to walk on a frozen lake.
Yeah,
Or
and you can clearly see why Tony's put the training wheels program in his suit.
Oh, it was great. I thought that was great. I really, I really thought that was a nice touch, and the baby monitor mode as well was very good. So I think we're in agreement. He's probably the best cinematic version of Peter Parker we've had. We touched at the beginning about the fact that Michael Keaton was playing Toomes, who you then saw become the Vulture. The villains in this use the technology to make their equipment. So you saw some very powerful weapons in the bank scene, as you said. The first time he tried to stop something in progress, and you could see how powerful this technology was, and then over years of playing about with the stuff, it started to be able to turn the technology into powerful weapons, potentially even more powerful than we'd seen before.
Yeah,
actually, where it had been modified. Now, I knew he was in the film because it had been spoiled for me, as in fact nearly every twist in this film had been. Not by anyone malicious, just because as it was coming up to release date, things were being leaked out and names were being revealed on IMDb and stuff like that. But and from the trailers you would get that the only kind of Spider-Man villain that was in the film that you would have heard of was the Vulture.
Yeah.
But actually we also got Shocker.
We got two Shockers.
Well, yes, technically we did get two Shockers.
And to be fair, they're both in the comics, so they are canon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't realise that.
Yeah. But they killed off one rather quicker than they did in the comic books.
And that was quite funny as well. Because he picked up a gun thinking it was an anti-gravity gun and basically just fried him.
Yeah.
Into like into specks. But it was very uncold because he wasn't trying to do that, but
he just brushed it off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
literally brushed it off.
Yeah. But I thought Michael Keaton was brilliant. I mean, how good was it to see Birdman actually be Birdman?
Yeah,
but be a decent Birdman.
Yeah, I'm more shocked at the fact that have you seen what he's been doing in the press?
No.
When he's been doing interviews, they've asked him about the role, and basically he's turned around to nearly everybody and just said, "I'm Batman."
Well, that's the thing, because I mean, it's 26 years ago, maybe longer actually. Batman, 89. My maths is terrible. 28. 28, yeah. Was when he was Batman, and still arguably his most famous role. That and Beetlejuice, I suppose, but you see his face more in Batman, and Batman Returns. So it's interesting to get him back into that genre of film, because he's kind of disappeared, hasn't he? You'd see him appear in a few things every now and again, but for a long time he just seemed to have just disappeared off the face of the earth. Yeah. And then he made a comeback a few years ago in, as I mentioned, Birdman. You ever seen Birdman?
I've seen bits and pieces of it. I've not seen the whole film.
Bloody rubbish. Don't bother. One of the most misleading trailers I've ever seen for a film. I mean, you might float your boat. It's very arty-farty, but it wasn't my cup of tea. But I thought he was brilliant in this. Yeah. I thought he was menacing, but he had a much more human side than villains normally do.
Yeah.
And I think that made a huge difference to the villains that we usually see in these films, because they're normally quite one-dimensional.
Yeah, they have been, and other than really Loki on the movie side, none of the villains have really stood up to what you expect from what you see with the superheroes. Yeah. So it's about time. the TV side, the Netflix side, they've had a couple of great villains, but for the movie side, this is probably the first decent one they've introduced since Loki.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think some of the villains have been all right, but this is the most rounded I've seen in a long time since Loki. And I think they've potentially spoilt him a little bit. I think because the fan reaction to him is so good, they've kind of tried to do more with him, and I think in doing so diluted it a little bit actually.
Yeah, it didn't help that the second Thor film was crap.
Good. I'm glad I'm not the only one. I really sat there wondering when it was going to get good, and then the credits rolled. But yeah, so I think we need to point it out as well. Like, your film is as good as your villains, and I mean that was a thing that I hated about. I know it's not Marvel, but when I saw Wonder Woman, I just felt the villains in that were completely one-dimensional, just completely standard, and it was good that in this film they weren't. One person that I was a bit disappointed in, just because I didn't really understand the role that they played, and maybe this is where you can fill me in, I don't know.
Yeah.
Is Donald Glover.
Yes. He will be coming back, I would imagine.
Okay.
The comic book character is actually kind of an anti-hero as such, called the Prowler.
I've heard of the Prowler, okay.
So that's who he was playing.
Right. Because I figured there must be something more.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like although he's not I watch Community, so I know him very well.
Yes, so do I.
Also, I've still got my Troy and Aberdeen Morning Cup, actually. I know him as Childish Gambino as well. I haven't seen Atlanta, which I heard was very good, but I hadn't seen that. And of course, he's playing Lando Calrissian in the new Star Wars. So I was surprised that he seemed to have a bit of a nothing role, but that now makes sense.
And it is more for the future because the Prowler is actually Miles Morales' uncle.
Okay, because I mean, obviously that was the big campaign a few years ago, wasn't it? That they were trying to get him to play. Well, he was trying to get it going, but through fan support, was him to be Miles Morales. To be fair, he's probably about 10 years too late.
Yes, and he has played him.
Yes,
he played him in the animated
series.
Yeah,
he voiced him. Yeah, that's true. But to actually play him, I think he's just too old now. Because he's a younger character. But that's good. I'm glad, because it's a little bit like I remember when I saw Tron Legacy for the first time, and Cillian Murphy is there. Have you ever seen Tron Legacy? You haven't seen Tron Legacy, have you?
I haven't seen Tron Legacy, no.
He's, I mean, it's not really a spoiler. He's, Cillian Murphy's quite a famous actor. Yeah. And he just turns up randomly in like a ballroom scene, and he's focused on quite a lot, and then that's all you see him in the film. And you think, that's quite a big actor to be in a part that means nothing. But he was supposed to be the main villain in Tron 3. So that was the setup there. But that obviously wasn't successful. We will see Donald Glover in another Spider-Man film, because there will be another Spider-Man film. So that's cool. I'm fine with that. That's. I don't feel I've been shortchanged there. Okay.
No.
All right. So, what did you want to talk about next? Did you want to talk about his school friends, or? Yeah,
we can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have no idea what a Zadana is.
No, neither have I.
Is, or however you pronounce the name.
No.
I mean, she's obviously famous. She's got one name. I think she's a bit of a Disney Channel.
Yeah, I think she is.
I think
she was. Yeah. She was in. Apparently, she was in a sitcom called Shake It Up on the Disney Channel.
I never saw it, but I knew of it because I always used to see the posters at Disneyland Paris.
Yeah.
So, okay.
She's been in a few things by the look of it. Something else called Casey Undercover. For Disney as well.
I think that's a cartoon. That's a cartoon. But, I don't watch too much Disney Channel stuff.
No.
Not yet, anyway. Kids aren't quite old enough. And I'm too old. But, I did try watching Girl Meets World, and I thought, no, I'm definitely not a target audience. I should have been a target audience for this. I like Boy Meets World, but...
You go to Disneyland Paris, and they haven't got the Disney Junior in English.
No,
So you end up putting the Disney Channel on.
But that is how I discovered Phineas and Ferb.
Yeah.
Because, I would never watch Phineas and Ferb had it not been one of the only things I could watch in English when I was out there. So, swings and roundabouts. But, I mean, unfortunately, I knew who she was.
Yeah.
Did you know who she was?
I'd read that she was playing that character.
Yeah.
Though it's still not been confirmed that she is.
Hang on.
She's still denying it.
No, she was Liz.
No.
Not Michelle.
She was Michelle.
She was Michelle?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Right, okay. I got my actresses completely messed up then. Okay, interesting. Well, let's talk about that then, because that is one of the only things I wasn't happy with.
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
Because you can't have a character called Michelle play Mary Jane Watson.
No.
Because Mary Jane isn't short, or Mary isn't short for Michelle.
No.
In anyone's books. So, it's just a line at the end.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Well, probably her final line when she says, my friends call me MJ.
Yeah.
But at that point, I was like...
Yeah.
Just kind of cringed and died a little bit inside.
Yeah, I'd actually read that was in it.
Right.
Because there'd been rumours for ages that she was actually playing Mary Jane.
Yeah, and I've got to be honest, like, I'm not that bothered about recasting different nationalities, different skin colours or anything like that. Yeah. So I don't think it has to be the case. Yes, if she was playing MJ for argument's sake, her main characteristic is she's got red hair. But if they wanted someone that was black to play out, I wouldn't be that against it. What I am against, though, if that is what they're doing, is that they've changed her name. And that doesn't make sense to me at all. I don't get that. So hopefully it's not. Maybe that, I'm hoping that might have just been a joke. A jokey line.
I think it was.
More than anything else.
Yeah.
But at the same time, she did have that feisty kind of attitude that you could kind of see with MJ as well. But MJ was somebody that Peter didn't go to school with. It was someone he met outside, like when he was a bit older. So that in itself wouldn't be canon. Okay, so I thought it was a good character, and I thought she did the best she could with the material. But I just hope that was a joke and she's not actually Mary Jane Watson. Okay, so Liz, wasn't it?
Liz, yeah. She was played by Laura Harrier.
Of course, yes, you're right. I sort of cast this like on the, as I was waiting for the extra scenes, but yes, you're quite right. I thought she was good. I've not seen her anything before, actually.
No, I hadn't either.
But she was pretty enough that you could understand why Peter held such a torch for her.
Yeah.
I mean, she was a little bit vanilla, I suppose.
Yeah, she wasn't given much to deal with, really.
No, but she did. She did as best she could with the material. You can't really say too much more than that. But I suppose her main purpose there was to, get in this, get into the film. But yeah, it did what it needed to do, I suppose, and that's about all we could do. I think we need to talk about Ned.
Ned, yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think he's an amalgamation of two characters from the comics. There's Ned that is a friend of Peter's in the comics, but his style and everything is taken from actually a character from the Miles Morales stories.
Right, okay.
So he's kind of a combined effort, I think.
Okay. But I thought he was good. I thought he was a good relief. I loved the reveal when he saw it for the first time. Yeah. When he was sitting there with that Death Star.
Yeah.
And just dropped it. And of course, made a Death Star into Alderaan. Pretty much.
Yeah.
The irony. But yeah, I thought he was. I thought he was an entertaining character. I thought he was a good sidekick for him. A little annoying at times.
Yeah.
I think there were a few times you were like, when people was like, "Oh, stop it," you was like, "Yeah, really." Like, he's told you enough times now. I know you're excited, but leave it out.
The whole thing when he was like, "Oh, do we tell everybody now?" I was like, "You've already asked him that once."
Yeah.
I think need to do it again.
I think that might have been down to bad editing. I'd like to think that was that film for 2 bits of the film, and for whatever reason they left both cuts in.
Yeah.
Rather than because as you say, why ask the same thing you've already asked him? But overall, I thought it was a nice comic relief sidekick, and I think it worked well. When he was trying to help him in the library during the school dance, and he turned around and said he was watching porn on his laptop.
Yeah,
because that sounded like the least crazy thing you could possibly say. It was quite a nice touch. And then I suppose the only other kind of main kid in the film was probably Flash.
Yes, and do you know what? I really liked him. I liked the changing character.
No, I didn't like him, but that was the aim, surely.
Yeah.
But no, I agree. I think he was very good. I read the other day that he'd got an awful lot of abuse.
Yeah.
For being Flash, and again, this is again a character where they've changed the race of the character, and I don't. Is he Hispanic or is he Asian? I couldn't quite.
I'm not sure.
No, it was quite. He had kind of like a. It wouldn't surprise me if there might be a little bit of both in there actually. But
yeah.
I thought he was like you. I thought he was very good. He was hateable, which is exactly what you want in a Flash Thompson. And I think he was much better here than he was in the original Spider-Man trilogy.
Yeah.
Well.
No, totally agree.
I just think it was a waste in those films, but I really felt here that he had the right attitude and just way of behaving that is exactly what you expect. He's supposed to be an arsehole, and he was an arsehole.
It wasn't a violent bully.
No, it wasn't a nasty person, just an arsehole.
Yeah, he didn't know when to step back. And quite clearly it does. It certainly damages Pete at one stage where he's calling him Peter Penis.
Penis Parker.
Yeah.
Penis Parker. But yeah, I'm not. But I mean, I think for a film that was kind of obviously very centered on the child, I say child actors. They're not children, but they're young adults, teenage actors. That everyone was cast really well. They may not have all had the best material to work with, but they were all good. Like, I didn't look at any of them and think you're a weakling or you don't look the same age as someone else. Everyone looked to be a similar kind of age, and I imagine their ages vary quite a bit. I imagine there's probably a good 5 years between some of them, but you didn't feel that. You felt like these were all kids at school, and it was very believable, and that's very, very important, I think, when you're doing something like this. And I can't believe we haven't spoken about Marissa Tomei.
No, I was just about to say. The delectable Aunt May.
Oh, I love her. I love her anyway. I think she's great in everything. But she's just perfect. I mean, she's so pretty. And, I think with Aunt May, you associate the kind of almost elderly, divery kind of Aunt May. I think this is much more realistic.
And quite clearly it is, because Aunt May always used to look like she was possibly Pete's grandma.
Exactly. So it makes much more sense. And I think what's great is, because I don't know how old Marissa Tomei is, she must be in her late 40s.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that not because of looks, because of how long she's been around for. And, what I think would be great is to see her continuing the role and see her age.
Yeah.
People don't normally age that badly anyway. They're very good with makeup. But, do you know what I mean? Like, I think it's nice they've started with someone younger who you could see mature with the role, rather than go for somebody that's already quite a bit older. Sally Field, I thought, was a good choice for an older Aunt May.
Yeah.
But I think this makes much more sense in terms of age gap and everything like that. And everyone thinks she's hot. That's the thing. Like, not just the people watching, but they reference it in the film as well.
Continuously.
Yeah.
In fact.
Yeah, very realistic. I think it was great. And of course, she ends the film.
She does
as well, which got a laugh out of the.
I really wasn't expecting that either.
No, that's. I think that's why it works so well.
Yeah.
So we won't delve into what that is now because it's best not talked about. But a great way to end the film, I think. And we've talked about Happy. We've talked about. We talked a little bit about Tony Stark. I mean, I think he was perfect in what was required.
Yeah,
there
and
was a perfect amount of Tony Stark in this film.
Yeah, and I think that's where they need to take Tony Stark now. Just little cameos here and there. Samuel L. Jackson style cameos. Keep him around. Don't kill him off.
Yeah. I think it would be much better to have someone step into the Iron Man suit, if I'm honest. And have Tony Stark as Tony Stark.
Yeah.
I'd be just as happy with that. Because Tony's not getting any younger. He doesn't look old, but he's, in his mid-50s now, late 50s.
Yeah.
He's not going to be wanting to do this forever.
No, and he's come out this week and said he knows he can't keep going forever.
Yeah. So I think to have him in that kind of role, almost like an overseer, would be better. Personally. Now, I'm going to just see... let me see. Let's see if we can do it. I'm going to try and do something very technical here. So this could work, or it may. Okay, well that didn't work, but never mind. I was going to try and bring my friend in, but he showed up online, but he's not answering, so never mind. I think that's a good way of having the films kind of go forward.
Yeah.
I mean, they've already turned around and said, haven't they, that Infinity War 1 and 2 are the end of this kind of series of Marvel films. So I imagine a lot of people will be out of contract. Some will clearly not want to come back because it's too expensive to have certain people back. Other people will just not want to have the concern of being so tied into these films. So imagine they're quite complicated contracts. So I think we're going to see a lot of changes, but that is a change I'd like to see. I'd be happy with Tony Stark to survive, but maybe just be there in a bit of a lesser role, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I
completely agree.
I think he's here.
He is.
Oh, there he is. He sounds a little bit like a Dalek.
You're a Dalek.
You're a Dalek. So, for those listening, this is my buddy Whitey, who we talked about Guardians of the Galaxy with. Me and you've not met Paul before, so Paul, Whitey, Paul. We've been talking for the last quite a while now, 40 minutes or so, about Spider-Man Homecoming.
40 minutes?
Yeah.
What happens in it?
Not much. That's why I've been talking about it for so long. No, we were just talking about the fact that we liked Tony Stark's lack of appearance in the film, and I was saying how I would like him going forward. I'd like to see him step out of the suit and actually be more of a kind of. Well, Paul actually said like a bit more like. Paul, what did you say?
Fury.
Nick Fury. So, like that kind of like cameo type thing where he's overseeing stuff rather than being the main centre of stuff.
Not gonna lie, Iron Man could die and that'll be okay.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is I'd like Tony Stark to continue.
Yeah. No, I'll be okay with him not.
Okay.
Because I'll be honest, I liked him in the movie. It was funny. But I could have even done with him less.
I don't think you could have done with him less. Like, otherwise he probably wouldn't have been in the film at all. But, one of the things we talked about is that the strength of the film is the fact that it's so unreliant on him, even though going into it you could have thought, well, Paul said it best, Iron Man 4. It could have been Iron Man 4 with Spider-Man as a kind of secondary character. But so we've talked about. We're not going to recap what our views on it, but you went and saw it this morning.
I don't hear them.
You have to listen back to it. But you went to see it this morning, and you're actually the reason why I went to see it this evening. So we wanted to hear your short kind of review of Spider-Man.
Short review. Yeah, I thought it was all right.
Such a tit.
Yeah, go see it.
It's not that short.
Tell your friends. Listen, I thought it was quality. You know what? I was saying to you beforehand, I was worried about this movie. I was saying to you about the lack of like midnight screenings. You know, the lack of like interest. It seems it didn't have the buzz about it. Like certainly over here, it seemed. There was no premiere. So I was worried, especially like with Tom Holland being your main guy. You Brits. So I went and I'd heard that it had been getting some positive reviews. I went to see it, and the thing is, I wasn't even bothered that it was another Spider-Man movie with a different Spider-Man, because it just fit into the storyline. In that before, you know, your previous Spider-Mans haven't appeared in like the Marvel universe. Mm-hmm. So that was never a problem. It was getting another Spider-Man. It just so happens that he is by far the best Spider-Man as well.
Yep.
Because it seems that he is completely true to the comic book version of him actually being a kid, as opposed to, you know, Tobey Maguire, who was about like, twice his age, or at least looked it.
Yeah.
Trying to like be like, what was it, Homer Simpson when he goes to Springfield Elementary and tries to blend in with the kids? It was a bit like that with Tobey Maguire, but totally not for Tom Holland. He was a kid. I think he said in the movie that he was 15 years old, and you think, yeah, you could kind of possibly get away with 15. You know, you stay that freshly shaved, and he's so likable.
Yeah,
you know, because he, as a leading actor, 100% likable.
Yeah, and I mean,
I think
well, we talked about not long before actually. We were talking about what we thought was great about the casting of all of the. I said kids, but they're clearly not kids. But everyone that Peter Parker was at school with looked that age. They didn't. It wasn't like Saved by the Bell where they're all much older, or Glee or something like that. These were kids that all looked the same kind of age, and there might have been differences in age, but you know, more than most films, they actually looked like kids that were supposed to be the age they were. And I think it made such a big difference to how you then feel about the characters, because it's that much more believable.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I didn't say,
Paul, go on.
No, one thing I didn't say to Paul before you come on, but I'll ask you both now you're here. Watching it, maybe it was the hair as well, but certainly the accent and the mannerisms, I got a bit of Michael J. Fox from him.
Yeah.
Nah.
There is a little bit.
You don't see it. I'm glad you agree with me, Paul, at least. At least there's one sane person on this podcast. Because there was just something about it, and I thought maybe this is what would have happened if Michael J. Fox had played him in the 80s. There was just something there, and I thought, and again, someone else that had bags of charisma at a young age. I've not really seen much that. In fact, I don't think I've seen any of the films that Tom Holland was in. I never saw The Impossible, for example.
I went and saw that at the cinema.
I just couldn't bring myself to see it. I'll see it one day, but I'm not familiar with his work. But I was really impressed with his Peter Parker. We said it was the best all-round Peter Parker that we've seen on screen. Even better than Nicholas Hammond from the 70s.
Yeah. You're saying about Michael J. Fox. I think because the movie, even in the way it was filmed and certainly like the pop culture references, there was a lot of 80s in there. obviously the Homecoming was themed with the 80s. And you had like the nice nods and even like the clip from Ferris Bueller where he's running through the back gardens.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of 80s, and it kind of, you could see like rather than Back to the Future, it's kind of almost like a bit Teen Wolfy at times with like the way it was filmed.
Yeah.
Like sitting on like the tops of vans or cars or whatnot, sort of thing that MJ would have done in Teen Wolf.
Yeah. That's MJ Michael J. Fox, not MJ as Mary Jane Watson.
Yeah.
So,
and that was nice, wasn't it? That was nice at the end.
No, it wasn't. We talked about that already. We don't like that.
What, you didn't like? Why do you like that?
Because her name's not Michelle.
No, but you know what? It's bigger than that.
No, it's not.
There was this big thing. It's bigger than that. There was this big thing online. The people had caught wind that she was going to play the MJ, and they're saying that she can't be MJ because she's not white. She hasn't got red hair, and they was all kicking up a stink about it. And blatantly, the director has basically had her called Michelle and had her call herself MJ to basically give like everyone a bloody nudge who was protesting about the fact that you had like a mixed race girl about to go and play MJ.
Well,
we'll get MJ in the next one. We'll get MJ.
We actually talked about earlier, because obviously another character that had done that too as well was Flash Thompson. But we said like that, you know, that in itself's not a bad thing. Like, I wouldn't. It wasn't. If she was MJ, that would have been fine with me. It was because her name was Michelle. So as long as that's what it is, it's almost like a two fingers up at fanboys. I'm completely fine with that. If you try and tell me that somebody called Michelle's MJ, the MJ, then we've got a problem, because that's just taking it too far. But absolutely not. If you know, that's my only kind of grievance. We've talked quite a bit about the film, but where we was kind of, I suppose, getting to, Paul, was, well, I suppose, really the end of the film.
Yeah.
And, you know, we hadn't talked about the kind of, the reveal and the big battle. Now, we both... Oh, he's gone again. We'll carry on. So, you knew that she was playing his daughter. So the reveal to me wasn't a surprise.
No.
It will be a surprise to some people, because, to be honest, there was no reason for you to put two and two together.
No, if that hadn't leaked, no one would have had a clue.
No. It's not like... Because have you seen Wonder Woman yet?
No.
There's a reveal in Wonder Woman, and it's pretty obvious. Like, Lee Malaby, bless his cotton socks, so you didn't see it coming at all, and that it must have been a bit naive about it. To me, it was so obvious that was going to be, or that could have happened, that when it did reveal itself, I wasn't surprised. Wasn't surprised at all. But I think it was really well done.
Yeah.
I think it was really well done, because there was that slow realisation, like, he clocked on that the voice sounded familiar. And he obviously couldn't put a face to the voice, but he realised that the voice sounded familiar. And then they were talking about the fact that, you know, he was there with her when the accident happened. And the S.T.R.I.K.E thing. And you can see this registering in his head, all of this stuff. And you can see it building up and building up. But he's obviously being, you know, keeping his cards close to his chest.
Yeah.
And
until you see the reflection in the mirror.
Yeah. But
then it's like, oh shit, here we go.
Yeah. And the thing is, even when he got into the house, even when he went in the house, and you could see, like, Peter completely glazed over.
Yeah.
Like, you could see the anger in him kind of building up, but he didn't know what to do. Because what could he do? He couldn't really do anything, but he was angry that he couldn't do anything. And so you had that whole bit there with him giving her the what is it?
Corsage.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well done. With that, and he just kind of gave it to her in a box. You know, didn't put it on her or anything like that. It was all just kind of very...
kind of threw it out.
Yeah, just gave it to her, and that was it. But, you know, when he sent her out of the car and said, oh, like, you go there, I'm going to go and have to talk with Peter now, you knew at that point that was what the conversation was going to be.
Yeah.
You knew that was the point, that the cards would be. He'd show the hand and say, "Right, I know what's going on here." You didn't know what was going to happen, but you knew that. And I thought it was brilliant because, he effectively turned around and said, I'll let you live because you let my daughter live, and now we're kind of even. So you step out of what I'm doing, you keep out of my business, and you'll be all right. But he knew. That's what I was going to say.
He knew full well that Peter wouldn't stand back and take it, and that's why he had the shocker waiting for
Which is brilliant, because the thing is, you was like, well, what's he going to do? Is he going to do something? Is he not going to do something? And then he runs out of the school straight into the shocker. So he knew, as you said, he could already tell that Peter was the kind of man that wouldn't probably listen to that advice. And if he didn't, he had a plan B. And it's so well done because they never do that. Villains are never clever enough to do that normally. So it was really well done that he had actually done that. You bottling something up? I don't know what he's doing. Yeah, so I thought that in itself was brilliant. Then, of course, he gets past that. You understand what the plan's going to be. That he's going to hijack the plane. Ned was trying to get Ned to contact Happy. He very cleverly left his mobile phone in the car so he could track the car, because once it had a suit taken away and all of the accessories with that, he couldn't then do that. He couldn't track him, so it was using his noggin a little bit there as to what he could do to kind of go after him.
Yeah, using his smarts.
Yeah, very good. And that worked. He couldn't get Happy to listen to him, so he had to kind of do it all by himself with his really crappy suit. Although the eyes still kind of moved in the suit, which I thought was a bit weird.
Yeah, it's got camera lenses in it.
Yeah. I couldn't work out how he'd have done that, but I can imagine Stark with his technological advances would, but I was surprised Peter's one did it. But anyway, and then I thought you had a really good battle between them.
Yeah,
and
it wasn't your typical fight scene.
No, and that was my complaint. Another complaint I had with Wonder Woman was it. As soon as you got to that stage of the film, it was a complete generic CGI battle that you see in every DC film and most, or quite a lot of Marvel films as well. This felt different. This didn't feel the same way.
It was like they both weren't quite sure of the technology that they were using.
Yeah.
Or in Peter's sense, his powers.
Yeah. Well, no, I think, yeah, both ways. Yeah, absolutely. And then there was that bit where he was trying to warn him off that something was going to happen, and he was saying to him, "Look, don't. I'm trying to help you here. Don't." And he was trying to stop him from flying away, and he kept cutting the webs away with his wings. And then the box he had blew up, and I thought, I was really concerned that it was going to be a repeat of the first Spider-Man.
Yeah.
With what they did with the Green Goblin. And so I was a little bit like, oh, please don't do that again. But luckily, they didn't. He was fine. He wasn't fine, obviously. But what I mean is that, Peter went and saved him. And in doing so, he was then 2 for 1 on the life-saving scale.
Yeah.
Because that went back to the conversation. So he, and another nice touch as well, and it's something you can see in the cartoons and the comics, is when he trapped the villains, that he would leave a note with them.
Yeah.
As well for the police to find, and that's something is something I expect with Spider-Man, but something else the films had ignored. Just another thing that you kind of associate with him that was never in those films. So it was good. So Aiden's arrested, because of the impending court case. Liz and her mum move away, and so that kind of story arc is done. But everyone's on good terms, and she doesn't know what Peter's done. And then we go Happy is obviously aware of what, because of how he was found, was aware obviously that Peter had been involved in that, so Peter had obviously then been put on the good books by everybody, and was ready to be made an Avenger.
Yes.
Got taken to the new Stark building as well, the new Avengers HQ, which was good. I suppose what we're going to see in the other films. So again, just keeping that continuity there. And then they offered him a new suit, a room next to the Vision. Oh
God! Imagine living next door to him, walking through your walls.
I know, tell me about it.
Craig would be screwed.
That is very true. That is very, very true. Craig could never be able to do that. And he had a room of 50 reporters or so waiting to speak to Spider-Man, and he turned them down. Now, I couldn't work out from the suit. Do you know what that suit was? Was that the ultimate suit, or?
I think that was a play on the Iron Spider.
Okay. Yep.
There was some gold colouring in there. I know the Iron Spider is red and gold, and there was definitely some gold detailing around the spider and along some of the webs. So I think that was their play. I know so many people had asked for that suit, and I think that's their little play on it. Because
the actual spider itself, the size of the spider, gave me a bit of the Ultimate Spider-Man costume about it. But
there was also a bit of the 2099 Spider-Man as well.
Yeah, and I would say, I don't know if have you seen the new PlayStation 4 game that's coming out?
Yes.
I think it had a little bit of that in there as well.
Yeah.
Because that's like a new suit that people are complaining about. So I think it had a touch of a few different ones. I think it was quite cleverly done. It didn't seem to be one exact suit, but seemed to have touches of others. And then we saw Pepper.
Yeah.
Which, we haven't seen her for a while. So that wasn't too
bad.
And
as I said, that's Disney's way of getting someone else to pay for her to come back.
Well, true. And they did a nice little engagement angle. So that's how they kind of left that, is that because Spider-Man turned him down, is that that was their announcement instead, to keep all the press happy. Just like Happy Hogan. But so Spider-Man kind of went back to do his day-to-day. And then, of course, the final bit of the film is, he thinks it was a bit of a test from Tony to see if, he had the ability to turn him down, because who turns down Tony Stark? I think he admired him for that as well. Yeah. You definitely kind of got that Tony admired him for not that he wanted him to necessarily, but he admired it. He had the balls to stand up to him.
Yeah.
And then he goes back and finds the suit that Tony had taken away from him because he didn't deserve the power or the responsibility anymore. He was given back to, and then that's it. There's your Spider-Man Homecoming. But two, I think, really good credit scenes.
Yes. Very good. Including possibly, I think, the best one they've done yet.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I thought, although I wasn't sure, do you know who he was speaking to in prison?
Yes, that is the future Scorpion.
Interesting. I wondered, because that was the only kind of a look. Like, you look at something and think, right, what villain are they supposed to be? There wasn't many that I thought it could be.
No.
So, okay.
And he did have a small scorpion tattooed on his neck.
Oh, very good. Very good.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, clearly not like a Kingpin or someone like that, or a Mysterio, but yeah, I did wonder if we knew who he was supposed to be, so that makes sense. Because is he part of the Sinister Six?
Yes.
He is, okay.
Yeah.
So I think that's what they were kind of hinting at. But what was really good, I thought, is that obviously he goes up to Toombs, that's obviously who's in jail now, and says that, I've heard that who Peter Parker is, and who Spider-Man is, and I've got friends on the outside that would kill him. That's paraphrasing, that's not exactly what was said. And he turned around and said, if I knew who he was, he'd be dead already. And why I thought that was so good was because, one, it kept up the human side of Toombs, which they'd played obviously been playing out throughout the film. You know, this was a man that wasn't a villain for being a bad guy. He was a villain for trying to do right by his family, trying to support his family. That was his justification for what he was doing.
Yeah.
But he'd already turned around in the car and said, you know, you saved their life, so therefore I'm saving yours. When Peter then saved his life, that was his way of keeping like that scar intact. So he was doing him a favour. So I thought that was a really nice touch.
Yeah,
Really
and
nice touch.
I have to be honest, I like the fact that they haven't killed him off.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I don't, you know, you may never see him again, but that's fine. You don't always need to see these characters again, but it would have been just so cliche to have killed him off.
Yeah. And you can never go wrong with Michael Keaton.
No. And also, before we get to the final scene, I thought the end titles are great.
Yeah.
I really thought it was like well done. Like it was just something interesting.
Yeah.
Like you know, the whole production just felt like they'd cared. Some Spider-Man films felt like a rush job. That didn't.
Yeah. To be fair, Sony had done a decent job with the credits on all of the Spider-Man films. I always remember the second one, the opening to the second Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, and they kind of did a paint-in version of the first film.
Yes.
Which I thought was really clever as well. So they seem to have got that nailed down.
Yeah, if nothing else.
Yeah.
And then, yes, you wait for 25 minutes for all the credits to go through. And in fact, we hadn't talked about this, but there was some really good Captain America cameos throughout the film.
Yes, there were.
So then obviously he'd done a load of I don't know what punishment Captain America had done to deserve to do these, but was doing a lot of educational support videos throughout the film, like in school. So there was one for like their gym class and one for detention as well. It's very good. But that leaves us to the last one.
Yes. The basically the biggest in-joke you could possibly have done. But it works so well.
It's very, very good. I mean, just in case you don't want to stay and watch, basically the film ends with Captain America reappearing on the screen in one of these, him filming one of these videos. And the lesson in this video is about patience. And how sometimes waiting a long time for something can pay off, and other times it can amount to nothing. And that was the joke. It literally amounted to nothing. It was really good. A lot of people left as soon as the credits started rolling. Now, I still can't comprehend why people do that. Because surely by now,
how many years now?
That's what I mean.
9?
Well, no longer than that. Iron Man. Oh no, hang on. Iron Man was 2008, wasn't it? So, was that 2008?
Yeah.
Jeez, we've had almost 20 films.
Yeah.
In less than 10 years. Bloody hell!
Consider it was two films every year, wasn't it? After.
Well, 2 films. Hulk. It was 2 films a year, starting with Iron Man and the Hulk.
Yeah.
And then, eventually it stretched to 3 some years. But even so, lots of films. But yeah, so I think that was a very that was very well done. But yeah, I just can't believe people getting up after the credits started rolling. I was like, what are you doing?
At my cinema, the cleaner started cleaning before the last one.
Well, that's the only thing I do feel bad for the cinemas is that, you know, most films people start leaving as soon as the credits start rolling, but with a Marvel film, they literally have to wait till the end before turning all the lights on. They might turn on some of the lights, but they don't normally. So yeah, they have to basically wait for everyone to clear out. But no, they're definitely worth the wait. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. I mean, okay, this doesn't lead up to anything, but just as terms of a well done joke, it's effective. It's effective. Yeah. So was that your biggest in joke? Do you think? Was that your favourite in joke?
Yeah, I think it probably was. There was a couple of other good ones as well, but I think I think that was definitely my favourite.
We'll talk about the other in-jokes as well, because there might be some that I missed.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of them now as well. Obviously, the MJ thing I think is still a play. I don't think it's the real thing.
No.
Just trying to think what else there was. And there were a few more.
Oh, there was obviously Bruce. No, so what was it? Why did I call him Bruce? Stan Lee. Bruce Lee. That's why. Stan Lee did a good had a good cameo,
which I also believe was filmed by James Gunn.
Yes, I'm not sure because he's filmed. Has he filmed like 5 or 6 or something?
Yeah, James Gunn at least filmed 4, I think, if not more, which would have been obviously Guardians, Spider-Man.
Well, that's the thing, though, is it? Because there's every chance.
I think he did Doctor Strange as well.
Okay, because I mean the thing is, we don't know which ones he filmed, so it could be that he filmed that. Might be one of the ones that he did film.
Yeah.
But I don't know, because it felt. Look, they did it really well. So to me, it felt like they did it on the set.
Yeah. But they were all filming in the same place, though, weren't they?
Okay.
All these films have been filmed in Atlanta.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Oh, because that's where Baby Driver was filmed. So it's a big.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a tax haven for filming, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely the current go-to place.
Yeah. Fair enough. But yes, there was that one. I'll tell you what my favourite in-joke was. Did you know who Karen was?
Yes, Jennifer Connelly.
Okay. And why is that an in-joke?
She is the wife of the Vision.
She is the wife...
previously Jarvis.
Who was Jarvis?
Yeah.
So yeah, she's the wife of Paul Bettany, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
The other inside bit was the school principal is the grandson of one of the Howling Commandos.
Is he?
From the first Captain America, yeah. It's the same guy playing him. And there's actually a picture of the Howling Commandos on his filing cabinet.
Oh, it's brilliant. Yeah, I definitely did not pick up on that. That's brilliant. But the Jennifer Connelly thing got me because I was like trying to work out who that voice was because it didn't sound very familiar. But I thought it must be someone relatively famous. But to have the wife of Jarvis do it, I thought was just very, very inspired.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if there was any others actually. I think that may have been it.
Yeah.
But no. So I think we both really enjoyed it. I think it's fair to say. Is there any reason you wouldn't recommend this film?
Not really. I don't even think you kind of need to have seen some of the previous films. I think maybe at least an Iron Man film and possibly Civil War. That's the only thing I can see against it is that it is very, very much tied into the MCU.
See, I don't think it is that tied in, other than the Avengers. And to be fair, they show you what he did.
Yeah.
I don't think it's tied into anything. There's no kind of reference really to Ant-Man or Doctor Strange, for example. No. Yes,
actually, Doctor Strange I found was a completely separate film. You didn't need to see anything.
Okay, I've still not seen Doctor Strange actually.
Whereas this, there's still I feel that there is something throughout the whole film that is linked somewhere else.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. But no, I think in terms of like summer blockbusters, it's definitely up there with the best I've seen this year. I know the summer starts earlier every year, but I enjoy this just as much as Guardians. Somebody said to me today, said it to Whitey actually, who came and went without even really being here. But had said to him earlier that because he raved about it on Facebook earlier, and he said, "Oh, was it even better than Logan?" And I liked Logan, but I just didn't think, for me, that is a superhero film. Okay, it's done in the style of like a Western or something, in comparison, but it's still really about a superhero. But this to me just felt like a perfect comic book film. And I think if you grew up watching the Spider-Man animated series, either the Spider-Man, animated series, the 60s or the 90s one, I think you'll get it. If you only watch the films, I feel like the original films, I still think you'll enjoy it. But I think to those people that was their Peter Parker, that was their Spider-Man, or even forgetting, of course, that people that read the comic books, this is the ultimate Spider-Man. Yeah, in my opinion, I
completely agree.
Can't even think of anyone that could possibly play him better than that. He's the right age. He's got the right spunk. He's it just personifies Spider-Man for me. Yeah. I'm sure I'll get Adam Santano to disagree when he does his review, but no,
he's already seen it.
That's what, no, I know, but he's not publicly talked about it yet.
No.
But I think he had a few gripes. But no, to me, I just think this is. I said to my wife, she texted me after I had left the cinema to ask what I thought, and I said, it's a Spider-Man film nobody wanted or felt. It was a Spider-Man film that nobody felt they needed. Yeah. But it was a Spider-Man film that everyone actually wanted.
Yeah.
And didn't realise. Because that was it. No one really wanted another Spider-Man film. No one wanted another origin film, that's for sure. But nobody really was like, oh yes, I need to see another Spider-Man film. But this is a Spider-Man film that they all should have been.
Yeah. And he is that one character, isn't he, that everybody knows.
Yeah.
And as soon as you see that name, it's like, oh, he's back.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. I mean, and that's, I will still go back and I'll watch the Raimi films. Well, the first two, the third one doesn't exist in this dojo. And I'll probably, at some point, watch the Garfield ones again, but I just didn't enjoy those anywhere near as much. And, we already said it was a bit of a Sony cash grab at the time. But my only fear is what happens next. Because there is going to be more Spider-Man films. Yeah. I think there's still supposed to be an animated one as well.
Yes.
That's still on the agenda, isn't it?
Next year, I think.
Well, they ain't coming out next year. I don't think they've even started making it, have they?
I think they possibly... It's probably being done at the moment, I would imagine.
Right.
Because it was originally meant to be Lord and Miller, wasn't it?
Oh, was it not them?
No, I don't believe so.
I
believe... I think they walked when they were giving Han Solo.
Right, okay.
I think they walked away from Spider-Man at that point.
Right, okay. Because I was going to say, that was the only reason I was really interested, but if they're not doing it, I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I don't think they were right for Han Solo. I never felt that.
No.
But I would have still watched it. But Spider-Man, you thought, would have been something that they probably would have got a good angle on.
Yeah.
Okay. I've not had anything since. But I don't know what they're going to do with the next film. I mean, Venom is supposed to be coming, isn't it? Yeah. They've announced who's going to play Venom. And I think that's just going to be a Spider-Man universe film.
Yeah, so many conflicting stories. Originally, it was said that it wasn't anything to do with the MCU Spider-Man. Then Amy Pascal said, yes, it is. While sitting next to Kevin Feige, who's now become a bit of a meme because of it. Then they kind of said, oh, they're linked, but they won't affect the MCU. And it's a bit convoluted at the moment. I don't really know what it is.
Right. Because I'll be honest, I think Sony needs Marvel more than Marvel needs Sony. In terms of, if they want to keep making crappy Spider-Man films like they were, there's not much that Disney or Marvel can do about that. But if they want to make decent Spider-Man films, I think they need to play friendly with each other.
Yeah.
So that's where it is. So if the next Spider-Man film isn't done in conjunction with Marvel, I do, even with a great Peter Parker, I do worry about how good it could be.
The second one is definitely with Marvel.
Okay, at least we've got one more decent Spider-Man film.
Yeah, and I think Tom said that starts filming next summer.
Excellent.
And he kind of tries to gloss over the fact that it's a Sony film.
Right.
He normally, in his press statements, he normally talks about Disney and Marvel, but doesn't really mention Sony.
You know what? Wouldn't it be interesting if he doesn't have a Sony contract? Like, his contract is just for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So that if, and this is a big if, but if Sony started to make Spider-Man films without Marvel's involvement, which they could do once this, treaty is in play at the moment, this ceasefire, that once that ends, or if it does end, that he wouldn't be playing Spider-Man anymore.
We never know.
Because, we don't know the terms of that contract, do we? So
no, I believe he says he signed up for 5 films.
But, well...
Which would be 2 solo films and Civil War and the 2 Infinity War films.
Yeah. That's
or
6.
Whatever they call in the last part.
That's 6, isn't it, technically?
No.
Isn't it?
No, it's 2 solo films.
Oh, no, sorry, yeah. Sorry, it's late and my maths is rubbish. So, that could be it as well. Interesting. Cool. Okay, well, we loved it. So, hopefully, if you was on the fence about going to see it, this will nudge you over. It's so it's definitely better than we could have hoped it could be. Not the best film ever, but in terms of what you want from a Spider-Man film, it ticks nearly all the boxes. So, 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, well, thank you very much for joining me, Paul, on this adventure. Thank you, Y2, for your 2-minute contribution. Bless him. He still texts me saying he's trying to get back on, but that ain't happening. But thank you, dear listener, for sticking with us. Hope you enjoyed it. If you disagree with us, or you agree, let us know on our Facebook page, any of them. And we will see you with another episode of whatever podcast feed this goes out on soon.
Yeah, this will probably be on Dad, I would imagine. And then I believe there's going to be a Strike episode that might be a little bit different to this.
Well, yes. Because I probably won't be there.
No, I think we're planning on doing the separate reviews again, like we did last time. But I might throw in something a little bit different.
Is C.R.I.K.E going to go and see it then?
Yes, he said he's going Monday.
Good stuff.
So,
cool.
So yeah, we'll put out the separate reviews, and I might do like a fact sheet history thing.
That'd be good, actually. I'll definitely listen to that episode. So look out for Strike then. In that case, in that case, then you better go and comment on the Facebook page for Dis After Dark, and we will see you soon.
And Mary Poppins, y'all.
Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thieves just like flies. Look out, here comes the Spider-Man. Is he strong? Listen, bud, he's got radioactive blood. Can he swing from a thread? Take a look overhead. Hey there goes the Spider-Man. In the chill of night, at the scene of a crime, like a streak of light, he arrives just in time. Spider-Man, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Wealth and fame, he's ignored. Action is his reward to him. Life is a great big bang. Wherever there's a hang, you'll find a Spider-Man.
We hope you've enjoyed this podcast. If you would like to support Dis After Dark and the other After Dark Network podcasts, please visit our website at www.patreon.com/Dis After Dark. That's patreon.com/Dis After Dark. Thank you. This podcast is part of the After Dark Podcast Network.